Hey everybody, welcome back. It is a brand new Between the Lines podcast. EDGYTIM here along with Mike Clark. We have week 6 in the books, preparing for an exciting week 7. And joining us as always, you see him. He's either, I don't know, covering games across Chicagoland, maybe riding a camel one day. Next day, he's in Chicago doing a game update. And then he's Bishop Mac making tackles. He is the one and only Mike Clark. Hello, sir.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm not actually riding the camel. I don't want to disappoint anybody, but we can get it.
We'll work on that
shortly. Yes,
we'll work on that for you. so we have a lot. We have a lot to go over, a lot to cover. Obviously, a busy week for both of us. Mike, you did your usual half dozen games. It seems like. Let's start with you. Start with your games this past weekend.
Yeah, I only did 3 this week after doing 5 the week before, so I'm slacking off a little bit. Thursday, I was out at Rockney as usual. Curie Mather, Public League North. Curie gets the 30-28 win, becomes playoff eligible for the second straight year, continuing that kind of renaissance that we've seen under the new coaching staff, Jarvey Lewis Bay and Keenan Phillips Riley, who teamed up together last year. They went 5-5, really turned the program around. One of the traditional powers, we've talked about it a lot, Curie back among the powers again. They should be getting back into the red pretty soon. Gabriel Taylor, the quarterback, came back after missing a couple of games with an injury. He had a couple of touchdowns. Malik Horton had a 90-yard kickoff return. Curie's had 4 kickoff return touchdowns this year. So you gotta wonder a little bit if anybody's scouting that.
Might not want to kick it anymore.
Well, you might want to not kick it deep anymore because they're pretty good at that. Mather is a pretty good team as well. They're going to make the playoffs, I'm sure. They're one of the better teams usually on the north side. So no surprise that this was a pretty close, hard-fought game. On Friday, I went out to Wheaton Academy to see Hope Academy and Wheaton Academy, which was Chicagoland Christian game. 2 of the better teams in that conference, along with Aurora Christian and Bishop McNamara. Pretty deep, small school conference, actually. You saw Bishop McNamara on Saturday. We'll talk about that in a bit. So it's homecoming for Wheaton Academy, and apparently one of the homecoming traditions that I was not aware of until I got there is that they had a variety of attractions before the game. They had a cover band who was playing a Beatles tune when I walked up, and there was a petting zoo that was wrapped up by the time I got there, but they kept around the camel, which was just kind of chilling in the north of the field. Yeah, and I was talking to some of the folks from Wheaton Academy. Apparently it's an annual thing. The teacher of the year gets the camel ride, so they did that before the game. If you go to my X account at Mike Clark Preps, you will see a picture of the camel and also a video of the teacher riding the camel. Mike O'Brien mentioned this too in his 4 Downs Monday column. You kind of wonder about, when you see something like this, you wonder about what other traditions are out there that you would know about.
That was a really good point, and I hope people take you up on that. That was a great question. If that one's wild, there's got to be a bunch of others out there as well, and we need to know what they are.
Yeah, well, I mean, right, literally a couple of blocks down the street from me, we have one of the great pregame traditions, as we all know. And I noticed, I think it was this past week, or it might have been the week before, that Wilmington is trying to set a record. And their tradition is to have the team run out of the forest, out of the field, accompanied by or through a line of motorcycles, basically. And they're trying to get as many as they could. I don't know what the final total was, but I've actually never seen that, which is kind of odd because I literally could walk there from where I live. Sometime I will, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Great
that's
time. Great time, Mike, is great time for you, probably, which is usually for me too, in the playoffs, because Wilmington is notorious for playing a lot of Saturday night playoff games. So they love playing Saturday night. So I guarantee you're going to get a Saturday night during the postseason to go see it, because it's definitely worth it. It's a great opening, and Wilmington always does a great job.
Anyway, as far as the game was concerned, big win for Hope Academy to stay unbeaten, 28-21. The Hope was actually down 15 at one point, came back. They used a couple of quarterbacks, Jacoby Henry and Davion Greenberg, who transferred in this year from Sullivan. Both made some big plays to help them get the win. They had an interception in the end zone to end it too. Hope is a 3A school this year. They're 1A by enrollment, but they are multiplied. They are multiplied, but they do not have the success factor. So they just have the multiplier, and that puts them in 3A. And I was talking to somebody else about this, and it's hard to know these days who has the multiplier, who has the success factor. We've talked about a few of them. DePaul went from 4A to 7A. St. Lawrence, I think, went from 4A to 7A also because of the success factor and the multiplier. Again, that's kind of hard to keep track of sometimes, but so Hope is definitely going to be a team to watch in 3A. Keep an eye on them. My Saturday game, I was out at Perspectives for the second time this year. Corliss and Perspectives, Public League South. First time, I don't remember. I don't know if I've ever seen this. It was scoreless at the end of regulation. I don't know that I've seen 4 quarters of scoreless football before.
Yeah.
And Corliss winds up winning 3-0. Luis Duran kicked a field goal to win it for Corliss. He was not even on the team until week 3. He's a baseball player, club soccer player. Keith Brookshire, the longtime Corliss coach, told me an interesting story. He said that he tried out Luis Duran in gym class in the gym, had to kick a football, and wound up not bouncing off of one of the windows in the gym. And he said, okay, well, he's got the leg for it, obviously. He said he told just pretend you're kicking a penalty kick, basically. So he's good on extra points. This is the first field goal they've tried this year. And Keith also told me that he doesn't think they've converted a field goal since before the pandemic. So kind of an interesting little note there. 3 best teams in that conference. The South is basically the South and the North are the 2 conferences. They're the top white division conferences in the public league. Right. They're right below the Metro. Corliss, Good, and Perspectives are the 3 best teams in the South. Corliss and Good, both undefeated in the conference. Good is undefeated overall, actually, and they're going to be playing in 2 weeks. So that could well be for the conference championship. There.
You've got some quality head coaches in that side of the conference too. You got Keith Brookshire, who again, longtime assistant under Lexi Spurlock at Morgan Park, and then is Terry Jones still at Perspectives?
Terry Jones is also at Perspectives. He's also a Morgan Park guy, and the good coach is Terrence McLaren, who's been with the program since they started. Some people may not be familiar with the school. It's not that old of a school. I think it's about 12, 14 years old. So it's on the southwest side of the Ashburn neighborhood, but they've had a nice football tradition. They've got one of the best players they've ever had in their program. Quaylen Dobbs has 19 touchdowns so far this year, which is a program record. And they're looking to have a home playoff game because they're 6-0 now.
Right. Be a high seed.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, that was my weekend, and I know you had a couple of interesting games.
Oh, I had a really good one on Friday. I went to Barta Dowling Stadium at Mount Carmel and watch Mount Carmel and Brother Rice and Mike on the always request for rosters. Okay, this is what you get walking in the door.
Yes.
Mount Carmel. Okay, this is how you are a championship program when you offer this. I mean, top notch, absolutely top notch. Again, Emmett Dowling on the cover, pretty timely, full of stats, too deep for Mount Carmel, full roster for Brother Rice. I mean,
yeah, it's
none better.
Yeah, nobody. You're right. I don't think there is any better one in the state. I mean,
nope, not that I've seen.
Yeah.
27-14 Mount Carmel over Brother Rice. It was, I thought, lived up to the hype, lived up to the billing. Again, there was a lot of talk back and forth between this game. Who had the best defense? We were better than you were. You're better than you think you're better. And like most good games, it got proven on the field. Mount Carmel, I thought Mike played very well. Emmett Dowling, we've talked a lot about him. I finally got to put some eyes on him, and he's a real deal. It's funny. His older brother Blaney was on the sidelines. He's recovering. He had an injury right at the end of training camp. East Illinois, so unfortunately he's out this year. Going to have to take a medical red shirt. So I had a chance to stand on the sideline pretty much and talk to him quite a bit, and coaching his little brother on, and little brother reminded me a lot of big brother Mike. Really good arm, incredibly accurate. Threw for 351 yards and 3 touchdowns in the win. I think the big difference in the game was, Brother Rice still has a tremendous defense. They're going to be a handful for anyone the rest of the year. It's still a very good team, but Mount Carmel has the weapons. We mentioned Dowling, and I think you got to talk about the receivers as well. Quentin Burrell and Tavares Harrington and Marshawn Thornton, and there's a handful of others in that wide receiver rotation, Mike. They are big kids, strong kids, fast kids, and you better have a top flight game if you're going to beat them, because they have the ability, Mike, to take off that initial tackle, and they're gone. And not every high school team has that. Actually, Mike, most high school teams don't have it, but Mount Carmel does. Really made a big difference, I thought. Jordan Lynch schemed a really good game. It's a very good Brother Rice defense. Mike, Brother Rice had their chances. They were in the red zone a handful of times and got turned away. And, again, if I'm Coach Q, I'm looking at that tape and scratch my head and saying, we weren't that far off. But, again, give Mount Carmel all the credit in the world. They were able to make big stops. And, defensively, Mike, you look at Mount Carmel and you look at their defensive line and you compare it to Brother Rice's defensive line, pretty damn close. So there's a lot of, you forget because these kids are seniors and we talk about these young guys with recruiting so much. But, Caleb Tucker is a sophomore. Everybody knows him, the Bone Crusher, 4-star guy, tons of offers. But don't forget about Joey Quinn, who's committed to Vanderbilt. Oh, yeah, Braden Jones, he's okay. He's committed to USC. He's pretty good, too. And then you got a handful of others in that rotation. It just seemed like, Mike, the difference with this Mount Carmel team is that they can go man for man, position by position, and match up pretty much with anyone in the state from what I saw.
Yeah, I think Mike O'Brien made another good point in his 4 downs column. And, he said that, the coaches love to say defense wins championships, but that seems to have changed around here.
Yeah.
Offense wins championships because – and I'm not entirely sure why. I know that there's a lot more off-season training that goes into quarterbacks in particular. The 7-on-7 circuit has just blown up. Obviously, the elite quarterbacks, the elite receivers are getting so many reps against other elite players that it's the iron sharpens iron thing, basically. Yeah, and,
I agree.
We're going to talk about a few other games here shortly, but it seems like, that whole thing about, you need to have that good running game, and you need to control the clock, and you need to have a good defense. So when you get into November, when the weather starts getting a little bit more problematic and you don't know if you're going to be able to throw the ball well, the reality is that the coaches like Jordan Lynch and a bunch of other coaches around the area, they think they can throw the ball in any conditions, and they're right. The offenses are so creative, the players are so good, the game plans are so sophisticated. This is not what we've seen at high school football for the old days. This is a different kind of high school football. A lot more fun for the fans to watch, I would say.
Yeah, it's a great brand of football. And what you alluded to, I completely agree with. I think with this Mount Carmel team, they have the personnel. Mike, if they wanted to run the ball 50 times a game, they could do it, and I think they'd have a lot of success. I really do. I just think it's the level of talent they have on this team and the depth that they have. They can do a lot of different things, and I can see if Mount Carmel goes to Joliet Catholic on Friday and they feel they're going to win running the ball, they'll be able to run the ball. So, again, you mentioned, I think, a lot of the key success for all these quarterbacks that we have in the state, and as you mentioned, we're going to get to a couple more. I think it is a lot has to do with the training. They are working on it, and younger too, Mike. These are kids, that start this training when they're in 7th, 8th grade and working all the way up. And obviously a lot of those reps are paying off, which is great. I think it makes for better football here. So that was my Friday. Saturday, I made it out to Kankakee. I went to go watch Bishop Mack. They hosted Marion Central Catholic. Liam Kerwin, I've known since he played at Marion Central Catholic, who's a head coach. So I hadn't got a chance to see him since he took over the program. So it was great to help him and great to spend a little bit of time talking to him before the game. And Bishop Mack obviously came into this 5-0 and left 6-0. 49-13 the final. Like, this is a really good Bishop Mack team. It really is. Really impressed. Kind of more senior oriented. Julius May, their running back and linebacker, very good player. Had a really good game. Couple of touchdown runs. Let's say it was about 130, 140 yards in rushing. Spread the wealth around for sure. Malachi Lee, another name to watch, is a very good running back. And Carter, I believe it was Krustenoff, the senior quarterback, also a really nice player for Bishop Mack. And it's going to be a good team, Mike. You mentioned 3A, and this is a team that, senior heavy, pretty physical, really hard-hitting team. Got to watch that game at Rich Nanny Stadium, which it wasn't called that the last time I was there, so that was kind of nice to see. And Bishop Mack kind of renovated that home side, so it's kind of newer on the home side, and did a nice job. And again, it was good to see a little small school football and on a Saturday, and I got to see a good Bishop Mack team. And Marion Central Catholic, very young. I think he had maybe 3 seniors on the roster. They've got a sophomore quarterback, Colin Heron. Definitely keep a name. Remember that name. He's going to be a good one the next couple of years for Marion Central Catholic. And Mike, you'll remember as well, that's a program that for a lot of years generated some high talent kids, especially some quarterbacks. So definitely name to watch for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, Chris Streveler was one of their better quarterbacks. Made it in the NFL.
John Budmeyer. There's been some others.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our games. Let's get into some other ones. We are on the Jonas Williams watch, continuing. He had 4 touchdowns against Mateo Valley, giving him 131 for his career. That is the IHSA career record. He is still chasing the passing yardage record. I do not have his current number in front of me, but
I have the one that I am using. I am getting from Rob Zavonar. So I don't know where maybe some of these other numbers are. I think Shaw Seuss might have had a different number. So the number that I have that he has left to break the all-time career passing yardage mark is 610 yards after Friday. So we're thinking probably 2 games if he, knock on wood, everything goes well and he stays healthy.
Yeah, I would say that's probably enough all before the end of the regular season for sure.
I think that's kind of what everyone's kind of eyeing a little bit. But again, just congratulations to Jonas. It's a tremendous accomplishment. Great kid that we both have had a chance to cover multiple times already. And yeah, it's all going their way. And also, Mike, by the way, that was Rob Zavonar's 250th career win.
Yeah,
and that is 200. I believe his record's 250 and 45. He has like an 80, I want to say 88% winning percentage or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're never going to see a coaching career like this again. I mean, we've seen tremendous coaching careers in Illinois. Ken Leonard, Frank Lenny, Rich Zanani. You can go down the list, but nobody has done what Rob has done, which is start a program from scratch, take it to the playoffs every single season.
Every year. Wild.
That's just, it's a level of consistency that, you just don't see anymore, and never. Yep. I don't think we ever will again. And you and I both talked to Rob. How long are you going to stick around? And he's thinking about it. He's thinking about how.
Yeah, he's been pretty consistent with that. He has one more son left, who's a junior. So a lot of the speculation is he'll come back maybe for one more year. I wouldn't put it past him to do that. I wouldn't put it past him to keep coaching, Mike. He's so ingrained with this game, and maybe hit the retirement system and then maybe go coach somewhere else. You just never know. So, but yeah, again, an amazing coaching career for Rob Zavonar.
Yeah, and I know that he does. Keeping an eye on his kids who are playing in college is certainly an important thing for him. So that's a factor in all of the thinking there too.
Yep.
All right. Let's run down a few more. The big one, the one that covered the over pretty well. Montini 55, Carmel 54 at Carmel. Izzy Abrams 568 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 90-yard touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. Luca Florio and Damasio Ortegon. Ortegon had 7 catches for 208. On the other side, Nebraska commit Trey Taylor 445 passing yards, 8 total TDs, 5 passing, 3 rushing. Again, well, there's your proof. Offense wins football games.
Yeah, it is obviously a tremendous game back and forth, and yeah, it was really good for Illinois high school football too, because this got a lot of national coverage. We had our rivals, national people were out covering this, and they were tweeting out live video updates from it, and there were some other networks there as well. And obviously, why not? All of a sudden, Abrams, Mike, is, I think, ranked number 2 now in the class of 2027 for quarterbacks. His stock is skyrocketing. Everyone already knows Trey Taylor and being committed for a while now to Nebraska. Just a great game for Illinois high school, and it really got a lot of notice and a lot of traction nationally.
Yep. Frem 35, Hoffman Estates 13. These were 2 5-0 teams in the mid-suburban West. Johnny O'Brien, as usual, big game for Fremd, 234 total yards, 2 TDs. He's the Northwestern commit, of course. Fremd defense came up big with 3 interceptions. One of the oldest rivalries in the state, Batavia over Geneva, 24-21 in overtime. Caleb Peters with a game-winning field goal. For Geneva, Ben Peterson, their quarterback, passed for 346 and 3 TDs. And I will note that this is not the oldest rivalry that was played this week. LaSalle, Peru, and Ottawa have been playing since 1897. So, that's kind of more than 125 years. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy to think about. Next one, what do we have? York over Hinsdale Central, 28-18 in the West Suburban Silver. I haven't talked an awful lot about York this year, where they lost that one in overtime to Glenbrook South way back in week 1. They haven't lost since. Henry Duda, who is one of the returners from the state runner-up team last year. Had a big game in this one, 334 total yards, 3 touchdowns. IC Catholic over St. Francis, big West Suburban rivalry there, 35-28 for IC Catholic. Grant Bowen had a couple of second half TD catches from Nate Lang for IC Catholic. Prairie Ridge stays undefeated.
Grant Bowen, Mike, by the way,
Mhm.
that is son of Matt Bowen. And Grant Bowen has added a handful of Big Ten offers over the last handful of days. So all of a sudden, schools are definitely taking a notice of Grant, and Grant, really good athlete, obviously. Actually, a little bit taller than Dad. So, and he's probably about 6'4", 180, 190 pounds, kind of a safety receiver. So,
Right.
yeah, great for him. Iowa was, I believe, one of the first ones. Illinois offered him, and I believe Northwestern and Purdue followed suit as well. So definitely remember that name, Grant Bowen, for sure.
Prairie Ridge, again, stays undefeated in the Fox Valley, 35-34 over Huntley. Luke Vanderweel, who else? 22 carries, 281 yards. Touchdowns of 69, 65, and 84. And this is one of the things that I saw way back at the beginning of the season when I saw them against Cary Grove. It's like,
He's amazing.
there are very few people who have the burst that he does.
Yeah.
And that's something special. On the other side, Huntley didn't even have their starting quarterback. Carson Rowe went out in week 2. They have a 6'5" sophomore named Malik Carter, who had 355 total yards and 3 TDs. So Huntley has kind of established itself definitely as one of the top programs in the Fox Valley year in and year out, along with Prairie Ridge and Cary Grove, excuse me. One more, Lincoln Way Central, 28, Bradley 20, first loss for the Boilermakers in the Southwest Valley Red. Lucas Andreessen, Justin Cobbs, 2 TDs each for Lincoln Way Central, whose only losses to Lincoln Way West, which is still undefeated. A couple more notes here. Jackson Fela is the quarterback at Nazareth. They started the season, as we remember, with a platoon there. He's pretty much won the job. And I don't know, I think this was just actually reported this week by Southwest Regional's own Mike Walsh. Jackson Fela's dad, Paul, was a quarterback at Notre Dame and also played baseball at Notre Dame. So athletic heritage there. Jackson Fela, 326 passing yards, 5 touchdowns against St. Rita. Last 2 weeks, Jackson Fela has 11 touchdowns.
That's getting it done.
Down had 6 catches for 220 and 4 TDs in this one. One other note, Kankakee quarterback Philip Turner had 5 total touchdowns in a win over Rich. That's in the Southland Conference, and the Southland is going to come down to Kankakee in week 9.
Yep.
So,
yep. Also of note, my friend, Thornton Fractional North, the Mighty Meteors, getting very close to finishing off their new renovated football stadium. I might have seen a picture of it, and it looks like they're getting closer and closer. So I know they are scheduled to have a home game this Friday. We're still waiting word to exactly when they're going to be hopefully able to do it. But Mike, they're getting very close.
Yes, they need to be, because that's what the schedule says. So to questions, we have one from our friend Wes Breton. After week 6, what team has surprised you the most, both the good and the bad?
Wow, good question.
I was looking at the top 25 right now. Most of the teams I think we're not surprised about there. I'd say maybe a couple. Glenbrook South, didn't know an awful lot about them coming into the season.
Good call.
Anthony Bonvecchio is their quarterback. He's had a great season. Looks like it's going to come down to the Titans and Maine South and the CSL South. Last week, we talked a little bit about Yorkville, which missed the playoffs last year.
Yep, that's the other one I'm thinking of.
The Foxes are having a great season. Just maybe
I'm sorry, Mike. The not so good ones to me are real easy. That I got two off the top of my head I can name. Do you have any?
Yeah, I was going to mention one more good one.
Go right ahead.
Oak Lawn came into the season on
Yeah.
a 18-game
Awesome.
losing streak and is 6-0 for the first time in program history. So that's a great story for the Spartans. Teams that are not what I expected, I think probably Marist is at the top of the list.
JCA probably following pretty shortly behind them as well.
Yeah. I mean, both of those teams were preseason top 25. Marist had some just absolutely devastating losses early. They're 1-5, and JCA is 2-4.
JCA still got a shot.
Yeah,
still have a shot.
They're 2-4 right now, I believe, and just things haven't quite come together the way they expected. Both of them, played that brutal schedule early, and I mean, we've talked about that. I respect the coaches who line up those non-con games like that. For sure.
Me too.
But I don't know. I think maybe, and I know that some programs like Marist and JCA are probably have a hard time finding some games too. So there's that to factor into it as well. But if you can maybe find a little bit easier path in the non-con, because I mean, and part of it too is the way the Catholic League ESCC crossover schedule goes. It's really kind of, I don't know what the right word for it is. It's uneven, I would say, because some of the crossover schedules are much more manageable than others. I'll say that basically, and
it's fair.
It's not like somebody is setting up some school to fail or anything like that. That's the way the algorithms work. I mean, there's a specific formula for how these crossovers all work, and there are 6 divisions. What is it? Blue, white, orange, purple, green, red. Am I missing one? I can't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but so I think that's honestly a little bit problematic too, because Marist, I believe, I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not going to say what the rest of their schedule is. But I mean, some of these crossover schedules are definitely harder than other crossover schedules, and it's probably not the way it should be.
Yep.
How things develop, moving forward. I think they look at those every 2 years. I want to say, I think it's a 2-year cycle for a CCL.
It is. Yep.
They look at it and come up with a new plan for the next 2 years. So, but you do have control over those first 2 weeks, which are your games to schedule. And Marist wound up actually playing 2 other CCL ESCC teams in week 1 and 2. They played Rita and Rice.
No break there whatsoever.
Yeah, St. Rita's had kind of a tough go too. They're 2-4 also. So I guess basically what we're seeing is that, and I don't know any of these teams, Marist, St. Rita, Joliet Catholic, we're going to get back to this again, are 3 of the top 256 teams in the state.
Yep.
They're not all going to make the playoffs, and barring some miracle. It's possible that none of them make the playoffs. It's possible, actually, which is not very good, but I don't know. I mean, as we talked about last week, I'm not going to rehash the argument, but if we go to another 128 teams, go to 384 for the field, then all of this is solved, and hopefully it is. But anyway, Wes, those are my answers. So, do you have anything else to add there?
No, I'm with you on that for sure. And again, it's a lot of conference chatter, a lot of talk the last couple of weeks, a lot of talk about the Southwest Suburban and the old DVC, that this is the last year of that combination. what's going to happen. There's already talk that the DVC schedule for 2026 is talking about them playing each other twice again. So I don't know if that's the route where this thing's going to wind up, but obviously that's going to be interesting to watch, Mike, over the next handful of weeks and months and see exactly what gets sorted out. If there's other schools on them, we just don't know right now. And honestly, Mike, just hasn't been a lot of talk about it from what I've heard.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that a fan threw out, I think, on X is for Bolingbrook and the two Oswegos to go to the DVC, which would make some sense geographically. It would make some sense enrollment-wise. And, I think, quite honestly, the reason that all those teams left the DVC over the years is that it was just too strong. And it's not quite as strong as it used to be.
That has changed. Yeah.
Those programs, year to year. Last year, Naperville Central was really good. This year, the Red Hawks.
That was a real senior-heavy team they had last year. So.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen, Naperville North just knocked off Sandburg. Sandburg's first loss. That was a good win for North. But we're used to seeing these traditional DVC teams. I would say, go 7-2, 8-1, 9-0. That doesn't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Oswegos, I haven't talked to anybody as Oswego. I don't know if they have any interest at all in this, but I mean, I do think that, that would be a good fit. I don't know that there's the will on anybody's part to get it done,
right.
But, and Bolingbrook, just got out of the Southwest,
right.
Southwest Valley, obviously. So I don't know that they want to.
It's a good thought. I give the person on X putting it out there some credit. It's a good combination. It's a good 3-school combination that probably would fit in athletically pretty well there.
Yeah.
The consideration is we always talk about, Mike, other sports. You've got to look at basketball and you've got to look at girls' sports. And is it really a fit for those three in the DVC? I don't know, but I'm sure those are questions that they would have to ask before any of that would go down. But as far as I can tell you, Mike, and again, doesn't mean that it's not happening, but I haven't heard much so far.
Yeah. So what do we have coming up in week 7?
Well, let's go through the schedule a little bit. Not too bad, actually. We'll start at the top. Interesting game. Again, we talk about Joliet Catholic trying to hang in there. Well, hey, guess what? You get number 1 ranked Mount Carmel this week. So, the tough keeps getting tougher week in and week out. Lincoln Way East is at home with Flossmoor. Interesting game crossover again. Loyola at Providence. Could be an interesting game for sure. We talked about Glenbrook South earlier. They are they're at home hosting Maine South, so that'll be an interesting game for sure. West Suburban Silver, Glenbard West is at Hinsdale Central. Some others, Downers North at York, Downers North host York. So again, a couple of interesting matchups in a conference. Mike, let's face it, it's always interesting. It's a pretty good matchups out of the Silver. North Suburban, Warren Township, they host Stevenson. So again, another battle of probably the 2 top teams. With no offense to Lake Zurich, but probably 2 of the top teams coming out of North Suburban right now. Interesting matchup, one that I think a lot of people in the mid-suburban, Mike, have been waiting for. Fremd, they're at Barrington on Friday. Should be a really good game. Then, again, 2 teams that are top 25 ranked, top 30 ranked. Going down further through the schedule, Prospect hosting Rolling Meadows. Rolling Meadows having a good year. I believe they're 5-1, if I'm not mistaken. Mike, have you ever been to Lapeer, Michigan?
No, I have not.
Well, if you want to go cover Lincoln Way West, that is where you're going to have to go Friday night. So Lincoln Way West, obviously with a non-conference opening for week 7, going to Lapeer, Michigan. So we'll see how that works out for the Warriors. Let's see, what other matchups do we have? Yorkville, they're at Oswego East. Again, two teams with a pretty good record coming out of the Southwest Prairie West. Lincoln Way Central is at Andrew. We talked about Hinsdale Central and Glenbard West. That's about it, Mike. It's about it for certainly Chicagoland as far as some of the better games that I have for you. Anything off the top of your head?
No, I do know that it sounds like fall is going to arrive this week. So
Yeah.
more seasonable temperatures, which is fine with me. The Perspectives Corliss game on the turf on Saturday afternoon at Perspective, that was a warm one, and I'm looking forward to. I think we're getting daytime highs around 70, lows in the upper 50s at night. So that's perfect. Yeah, that's the kind of football weather I like jacket weather. So let's get into the playoff mood with some of that kind of weather. So,
did you figure out your schedule yet or no?
I think I'm probably going to Frem to Barrington, and I'm going to have a public league game on Saturday. I'm not entirely sure which one yet. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, it looks kind of light on Saturday, so I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do Saturday. Friday, I'm between games. I am considering Richards at Oak Lawn because, like you said, I mean, come on, Oak Lawn is 6-0. That's a great story. Richards having a very good year as well, so there's definitely some intrigue there. And the other one, kind of interested is Loyola at Providence. And Mike, anytime I can avoid a drive up to Loyola, I'll take it. So
that's a close one for both of us, and I did have thought about that, but I haven't seen either Frem or Barrington, and like both of them. So
yeah, I consider that one as well. But I have seen Barrington this year. But yeah, that should be a great game.
Even though I'm not looking forward to the drive up there, but
no,
that's
Leave
okay.
Early. Leave early.
Right.
Do the Taylor Bell. Get there 3 hours before the game.
Yeah.
All right. I think that'll do it. So Mike Clark and EDGYTIM, thanks everybody for watching. Again, we will ask for your input every week. So just follow us on X. We will ask you if you have any questions for us. We're always happy to answer. Mike, we're inching closer to playoffs. So again, it's been more fun to watch some of these outcomes and definitely following our friend Steve Susi and his projections and what have you. So it's a great time to be a high school football fan.
Absolutely. Go out and see a game or two this weekend. Maybe you'll see a Camel. Who knows? And we'll be back next week.
All right. So for Mike Clark and EDGYTIM, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Have a great week.